After a quick survey of the lunar terrain and orientation of visual references, landmarks, and the gathering of contingency samples, the crew turned to the deployment of the ALSEP package. The ALSEP is a multi-experiment system designed to return lunar data to Earth for as long as 1 year. It consists of the data subsystem, which accepts data from the other experiments for transmission to Earth. It also receives and distributes command data from Earth. Power is provided by a radioisotope thermoelectric generator capable of producing a minimum of 63 watts of usable power for 2 years. A passive seismic experiment, a lunar surface magnetometer, a solar wind spectrometer, a lunar ionosphere detector, and a lunar atmosphere detector. It was just prior to these activities that the color television camera was inadvertently and momentarily pointed at the sun, and the transmission was ended. Brought back to Earth, analysis has disclosed that the top portion of the picture tube had been burned. The exact nature and redesign procedure changes are still under study. With the ALSEP deployed, the astronauts commenced the next phase, surface exploration and sample gathering. After almost 4 hours outside of the spacecraft, the crew returned with a large selection of lunar rocks and core samples. A 12.5-hour period of rest and preparation followed. During this period, the astronauts, mission control, and a number of the scientists concerned with lunar experiments discussed and revised plans for the next EVA. This was to be a wide circular sweep that included several formations and craters thought to be geologically significant, and most important, inspection of the surveyor and the acquisition of certain parts to be brought back for the study of materials after long exposure to lunar environment. Approaching the surveyor, they found it in excellent shape. The imprint of its landing pads in the lunar dust was still sharp and clearly defined, almost as if they had been made recently instead of 31 months ago. Then, using a long-handled pair of shears, they removed the television camera. This little unit had sent more than 6,000 pictures to Earth before going dead. Next, samples of tubing and wiring were secured, and an unscheduled bonus, the little mechanical claw that, with the TV camera, had provided the world with its first close look at lunar soil 2.5 years ago. Additional rock and core samples were gathered. Throughout both EVA periods, the life support systems worked well. In fact, both EVA periods were extended an additional 1/2 hour. One handicap that became more apparent was the rigidity of the spacesuit around the waist. This problem is currently being worked on at the Manned Spacecraft Center, and a modified suit with greater waist mobility is tentatively scheduled for Apollo 16. After a final check on the ALSEP instruments, the crew hoisted the sample containers aboard and re-entered the lunar module. Approximately 5 hours later, the ascent stage engine was fired. Liftoff was smooth, and rendezvous with the command module was accomplished with precision.